Hi everyone, it's Luke here. I am going to be showing you a video on how to achieve an effect like this, a chain that follows a path around a sort of cog item here. Showing you how to do this using Chain Move version 2. You may have seen videos of the first version of Chain Move, which was a motion modifier. This one, however, is completely different, works using instancing. But we'll get into that a bit later. But as you can see here, the chain links all follow the path all very nicely, and importantly, if I go to front face wireframe here, if I go to a side on view, you can see how the teeth of the cog here, they all line up perfectly with each chain link as it goes around, and they all fit into their grooves. And the good thing is, the way this works, if I go to, let's go to some ridiculous frame in the future, everything still lines up perfectly. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to be showing you how to achieve this using the plugin from scratch, everything you need to do, so basically you won't need to read the manual. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so here's my example object. I've set up a few layers already. You can see here I have a link 1 and a different kind of link. So these are for different chain objects, chain link objects, because you won't always have exactly the same kind of link. I think I've got some excess polys. Yeah, I'm just going to get rid of those. So the idea is you have this kind of link which is attached to that kind, which is attached to this kind, and so on. So it doesn't all have to be one kind of link. So there's three basic components that you'll need for the plugin to function. You'll need your links, which will follow along the path. Here's my two links. A driver item, in this case this is the cog. This is the item that rotates and drives your links along the path, and the path is the third item, which I haven't created yet because there's something very specific about the path that you should know, and it's better if you see me create it from scratch. All of these other objects, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to see me creating those. So I'm just going to save that, move this window over here out of view, and go to a new layer or a new object. Doesn't all have to be in the same object. Put this in here in the background, and I'm going to create a path sort of along like this for our chain links to follow and be driven by this cog. Now what the plugin actually does, and this is the same for the original Chain Move as well, it doesn't follow poly chains really. All it needs is a series of points. So what I could do is just go to point mode here. If I create a point up here, create that point, and I could create another point over here, and point here, and point here. And I could do this. I'm not going to keep this. This is just an example as a demonstration. This will still work. I'll go into full screen view so we can see. I'll select these guys, bring up the information, panel, hit edit, and this shows something important, which is the ordering of the points. You can see here, hopefully on your screens, that this is point number 1, this is point number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now when Chain Move moves a link along a path, it will go from point 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and 6, and then back to 1 again. And it will always follow that order, and it doesn't matter in what way these are connected, it will always follow the sequential order of the points. So your points have to be arranged in that way, in that manner, at least currently. So if you want to make a poly chain, you can do it this way. Just select these and hit P. In fact, I'm not going to do all that right now because it's pointless, because I'm going to scrap that and start over. Because I want to make a better object that's actually going to be of some use. So what I want is my chain links to follow around the curve of this, and then come back, go on some other path, and then come back again. Maybe there'll be another cog over here, maybe not, doesn't matter, just for this example. So to do that, I'm going to create a disk, and get the disk in the center here, get it to about the same. Ooh, the video is kind of screwing with my the video recording software is screwing with my thing here. My mouse is acting peculiar. I'll just bring in the numeric panel. That looks reasonable enough. Might just make a few more segments to make the path a bit smoother. And bear in mind, it's quite important, it's very important really, that this, you see the radius, so the gap between this is the same all the way around. So the gap from here to here is the same as from here to here, and here to here, and so on. So sometimes it might be worthwhile to actually use the mesh of the driver item and just copy a few points off of that and then expand it a little to get your curve. But I'm not going to do that. So that should be okay. Hit enter. And now if I select these points and take a look at them, edit all again, you can see they're all nicely in order, but number 1 is down here. That's not really what I want. So I'm going to put myself into center selection mode, Shift F6, tap R for rotate 3 times. Let's try edit all again. 1 is now at the top, and it'll go this way, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, all the way around, which is okay. Now what you would usually be tempted to do in a situation like this is maybe grab these points, move them along, and sort of put a few more points in here in between. You can't do that because the points, again, it'll travel all the way along here, and then it'll go to this one because this point is the next in line. That's 25, this is 26. If I add another point in here just by knifing, you can see if I edit those points, yeah, that's the next point to be created, newly created point I should say. So it'll go 49, so I'm guessing this point up here is number 48, which it is. So what it would do is come all the way around here, back up here, and then down to this point, and that's not what we want. So you have to get rid of all of these. I'm going to kill the poly as well, so at the moment we're just creating points. So if I want a newly created point, I could create one down here and here. I'm just going to sort of create a few points in a straight line. That should do for now. And hopefully these should be sequential. Yep, there we go. And now if I were to copy these guys, in fact I'm not going to copy them, I'm going to mirror them. They should be in order, which they're not, so I guess that is upside down. 35, 36, okay, so I've just got to scale this. I'm going to use the numeric panel, vertical -100. And now 36 is on the bottom, so that's great. Everything's in order. I'll bring this in. And I'll just mirror this again up on top. Check the point order here again. 58, 59, 60. 70, 69, okay, so that's got to be reversed. -100, 100, apply. just going to rotate that. There we go. Got there in the end. Just going to select these, bring these in. So you can see now the path that the chain links will take. Just going to sort out that one. There's a little bit of wobble in there, but we can also just refine these later if we really want to. Try not to be too perfectionist, as this is just for a demo. Save the object. Okay, now it's time to send this over to layout. Okay, so here we are in layout. Here are the various objects. We've got the link number 1, link 2, the driver item here, and the path item, which I should have labeled. I'll do that now. Also, what I did rather sneakily was made this a polychain as well. So I just selected 2 points, press P, selected the next 2 points, press P, and so on. But you guys didn't need to see that. Guys and gals didn't need to see that. Okay, so this is going to be our path, save, synchronize. There we are, lovely. So now, whereas on the old chain move what you would do is select your chain link, come here, modifier, and apply it here. Don't need to do that anymore, and you needed to get your settings right, exactly right for one chain link, and then copy it multiple times. With Lightwave 11 we now have native instancing, which is lovely. So chain move version 2 is actually an instancer, so if you just come to the object properties for the path, so you have to select the path item, P for properties, come over to instancer, add instancer, and there chain move 2. Double click, get up its settings. Now, cog teeth I've got here is 44. So how many do we actually have? One. I'll put this to texture wire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 15. So I now have 15 cog teeth. Get chain links is where we select our chain link objects, and these are the objects that will be instanced along the path. So we've got link 1, link 2, select, go to OK. Driver radius is quite important. It's the radius of where the pivot point of the, select these and come up here, it will be this distance where the chain link sits on the path. That's what you really want. And we can actually measure this. There's an interface thing here. If we go to measure item, I think I've got link 1 there, get driver radius, and it'll measure it for us, which is nice. I'll put that back to 0. If I select it here, okay. So yeah, I turned it off earlier, and if I had to turn it off earlier while I did the adjusted the settings, but now you can see with it back on, there are chain links following our path. And here's something interesting. We'll talk about that in just a second, but for the moment nothing's happening because the driver's not moving. The idea is this driver item will drive the chain links along the path. So what we need to do is to get this to rotate. So at frame 0 it's doing that. I'll just put it to frame 10. Let's make it rotate a bit and then stop. Select the item with the instance are on, the path item. Now we've got driver channel is heading, but that's not the case, so that won't work currently. It'll just sit there and rotate. It's going to be the pitch in our case. Is it the pitch? Oh, it would help if I actually selected the driver item as well. There we go. Now things are moving. Just going to make that a little bit less so we can actually see what's going on. So we've got a few things wrong here, but that's okay. You can see that the driver item is moving in a certain direction and the chain links are going in the other direction. So if I put -23 on there, oh no, it's still going in the wrong direction. That too is okay, because there is an option in here to swap direction. There we are, everything's now working fine. I'm just going to put a repeat on this value here, post behavior, not repeat, linear, so that it'll just keep rotating forever. There we go. It works out quite nicely. Okay. So we do have this problem here of these. We've ended up with a wrong link type here. Now, when you have different types of links, like here we've got these are two different types. If you just had one type, then it wouldn't matter, because it would just be one type following on another and another and another. However, in this case it does matter, because we've got two of the same type linking together. Now, you can see at the bottom of the panel here, it'll give you a bunch of information. One is the amount of chain links that it's calculated that it requires. Here is the link spacing. Now this is actually calculated from the distance here between the teeth. So this is actually calculated from the radius of your driver and the cog teeth. That will determine what the length of a chain link should be, so that it sits between these teeth. You can see also here that our chain links are actually not quite in the right position. To change that, we can just alter the start displacement, and that'll change the displacement of all of the rest, so we can get it to sit nicely in its correct location. There we are. Seems to work a lot better. I'm just going to change the color of this object so it can be seen a little better, just so it can be distinguished. Okay, that seems to work well. Anyway, back to our problem. So yeah, we have an excess length. So based on the amount of chain links that we have and the spacing of those links, the distance between consecutive links, you can see that these two links do pretty much line up with each other nicely. There's a tiny bit of error, I suppose, in the spacing there. That's because we have an excess length here. This is the length that's left over when we look at the entire length of the path, the amount of chain links and the spacing of those links. So what we can do is either change the radius, which I'm not sure we want to do because there's usually like one correct value for that. Can't change the cog teeth because again there's a correct value for that. The thing that we have that's variable is the path length. So we might need to change it, make it slightly shorter so that this link here will be eliminated. So with that in mind, I'll just save my scene very quickly. Let's go back to Modeler and see if I can just grab these. What was the excess length with 0.327? So if I move this, if I could grab up the numeric panel, 327 over 2 meters. Oops, wrong way. That should roughly be right. Ah. There we are. That seems to have fixed that problem. It's looking like a very short chain now, but just an example. Okay. Yeah, one of the other settings, moving on, was this one, local coordinates. If you don't have this checked and you want to move the original position of your link items, because these are instanced, this will happen. This can make some interesting effects. It's probably not what you want. If we activate the local coordinates, it'll try and compensate for that and put them back in position. Yeah, and you can see also here this excess length now has gone practically to 0. And that is how you make a simple chain using Chain Move version 2. It's a lot easier than the previous version, and there's also more controls, more bells and whistles. For example, we can reduce the amount of links here, add them and take them off quite easily. If I uncheck Keep Original Position, that will disperse these items around. Still have that. Obviously the spacing's now different, so these guys are here. There we are. I got rid of it. But you'll probably want to keep the original position. And if link count is 0, then it just puts in the amount of links that it's calculated are necessary to fill that path length here. Okay. So, hope you enjoyed this one, and adios.